So I did the cut here of the debate between who we would rather have. We discussed when we did the Flames recap. We discussed this in the Canucks recap. The Flames got the Stars. The Canucks got the Blues. Who got the better opponent?
Better matchup or the better opponent?
The better matchup.
Yeah. The better matchup.
I think the Flames got the better matchup. I think the Stars are there for the taking. You don't know how healthy Ben Bishop is. He didn't play the last game. They don't have they're not as proven as the Blues. And I think the Flames match up well against the Stars.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wanted to play Dallas rather than over St. Louis. Sean would argue though that like you want to play the defending champs early, but I'm happy with Dallas. I would have been happy with St. Louis too. Bring it on, no matter what. But yeah, I'm okay with Dallas.
Yeah, I'm happy with Dallas too. I think the Flames have a better matchup than they would against the Blues. If you look at the top line or the top four players, you have Jamie Benn, Rupe Hintz, Radulov, Sagan, and Pavelski. I guess that's five. As well as and to kind of counteract that, you have Gaudreau, Monahan, Lindholm, Kachuk, and Backlund / Mangiapane. And to me, those guys are very close in canceling each other out. So then if you look at your bottom six, Lucic, Bennett, Dubé, Jankowski, Ryan, Reeder for Calgary. And I mean, you have Radek Vaska, Blake Como, who's been just all over the place, Cogliano, Perry, and Dickinson. And to me, I'd say that the Flames' depth is where they're going to shine, and that's where they did shine in the first or in the qualifying round. So, it's to me that makes most sense. Is that Calgary has the upper hand there.
For me, the key is the forecheck for the Flames. The Stars have two absolutely like top end puck moving defensemen in Miro Heiskanen and John Klingberg. Those two can change the game with how they move the puck up the ice. And if the Flames can't control them, they're going to be in trouble. But the Flames do have a good forecheck, and I wouldn't be surprised if they can actually control them. But that will be the key matchup, in my opinion.
And I think it's also going to be the bottom six, because I'm not sure I'm fully in agreement, Devin, that the Flames have the edge. Corey Perry has been a Flames killer over the years, and I don't think.
How old is he?
904, but he seems to be more against the Calgary Flames. And he's a pest. He's done it before with Anaheim. He knows how to beat them. Jason Dickinson, like that. And then you talk about Klingberg and Heiskanen. You also Esa Lindell is going to be a guy that the Flames fans are going to hate a lot. He's kind of that Matthew Tkachuk, except he plays defense. That's going to be the other one. I'm not necessarily. I know Ben Bishop is top flight, but Hope Kubodin, I think, is a good goaltender. I butchered his name as well. And I think it's priority. Like the two priorities for the Flames, I think, is making sure they get the same goaltending that they got from Talbot. And I think they need to win game one. I think if you give Dallas some confidence, that's the one thing. And I think the other thing that's a little bit underrated, I know Dallas was third last in scoring, but watching that game against St. Louis, it's not like they're not getting chances. If they capitalize on some of them, it's going to be tough.
Well, yeah, even in that game against St. Louis, like they scored that one goal, but like there was only a couple of minutes left or whatever,
34 seconds left.
34 seconds, and then they came back and won it in overtime. So yeah, like if they can capitalize on it, then for sure. And yeah, I definitely agree. Like you have to win game one, and I think I could see the Flames need to have that momentum of winning game one. They kind of struggle sometimes when they get pushed. If they were to lose one, I think to bring the confidence back to that team, to this team, it's really hard. I think they play pretty emotionally. So so it'll be interesting to see. And I'm interested to see too when at some point when Riddick's going to come in as well. Jeff Ward came out today and said that he plans on playing both goalies. So I can see Talbot starting, but if Talbot doesn't have a good game, either the first game or the second game, then I'll be interested to see what Riddick's going to do.
Well, they've got the back-to-back in games 2 and 3, and I expect to see Riddick in one of those games.
Yeah, I even with the back-to-back, I don't know. I've heard of, for the longest time, you always thought that, when you have a back-to-back, you start one goalie, you start the other goalie. But I've heard multiple times that from people I really trust, who are a lot smarter than me, talking about goalies, is that you know what, if you're rolling, it doesn't matter if you feel confident, and it's up to the goalie obviously if they don't feel tired, but usually you don't want a 1 day break to start thinking about stuff. If you're rolling and you're doing well in the first game, start in the second game. But I would love to see Riddick and how he would play sitting on the bench for so long, and see how much passion and if he can rise up to the challenge, because I feel like Calgary does need to see how he does in a playoff setting to go forward. And so you got to see what you have within Riddick with playoff hockey.
So I guess for me, I'm a little – I kind of just wish Jeff Ward would say we're going to run with Talbot. And we're going to play 2 goaltenders. I understand everyone wants to see, we need to see Riddick, but it's pretty clear that Cam Talbot got him this far. I think just set and say we're going with Talbot. Talbot's our guy.
I think what he's saying is I think Talbot is his guy right now, but with the back-to-back in there, I think you don't want to run Talbot into the ground and going from 0 to 100 so quickly. We saw a little bit that with Markstrom. I think there was a little bit of mental fatigue more than anything else in game 4 versus Minnesota. And I think you could potentially have that same issue with Talbot going back to back, even with the break here. Because Carolina did in the first round. They went with Reimer in game 3. Yeah, they were up 2-0, a little bit different, but it's still a 5-game series. You don't want to give any team any sort of hope at that point. So I do think that they will play Riddick in one of those games. If Talbot has an off game to start game 1, Riddick starts game 2, and then you go from there. If Talbot's good, but you just say that one of those games is going to Riddick, the goalie should be okay with that. As long as you're upfront and honest with them to begin with, and they can plan for it, they'll be good.
I think it depends on the timing and when you have that discussion or conversation. Say Talbot is great for the first 5 games, and there's only a little bit here and there that he needs to clean up, or Calgary Flames just don't play good in front of him. At that point, I would even just say if it's an elimination game, you got to start Talbot. Talbot is, I agree with Kev. He's the guy who got you here to the second round, or I guess first round of the playoffs out of the qualifiers. So to me, it's all about timing when it comes to that.
I'm sure he's already had that discussion with them, honestly. Yeah. Jeff Ward seems like the guy who'd be like right on that in terms of like, okay, here's what I'm thinking. He would talk with the goalies. He's not going to say, he's not a hard line coach where he's going to say, well, this is what I'm doing. It's like, this is what I'm thinking about doing, and then have a discussion with them. And he probably had that discussion as soon as they knew the schedule.
Okay. Yeah. I can see both sides of that. Just maybe the way it sounds to me is he's playing these mind games, and like but
like I said, I'm sure there's a much more clear message behind the scenes as opposed to just in front of the cameras. And he's playing mind games, yes, but he's playing mind games with Dallas, not with his goalies.
Yeah, with Jeff Ford, if he's playing mind games with his with having his interim tag and he's playing mind games, that's not a smart move on his part. And if you want to win games and you want to have the respect to your players too, let alone management.
So for the Flames, who do we need to see more from? As Sean said in the last podcast, that I want to see more from. Who do we want to see more from in order to win this series?
I still want to see more out of the top line, for sure. They've been good, but I still want to see more out of that. They are the top line for a reason. And then going the opposite, I want to see more out of the very bottom line too. Because as we mentioned before, I think depth's going to be where the Flames might be able to be a little bit of an advantage. So I want to see a little bit more out of that. In terms of players, I kind of want Jankowski to be back out again. I kind of want to see Ronaldo back in. I just think that I just don't like Jankowski. that's just my feeling on that. So, but keep up with the diversity of who's scoring goals. That was an interesting stat between Calgary and Winnipeg with like who was the one scoring all the goals. And there was far more diversity in the Calgary, so that's good, because I think if one guy's going to have an off night, at least you have a bunch of other guys that could still put pucks in the net. So yeah, that's kind of where I want to see things. Yeah,
for me, Goodrow, I seem to be the only one who's kind of saying that I want to see more from him. I did not think he was a difference maker the way that he can be. He can take over games if he wants to, or if he's in the right mindset. So I would love to see more from Goodrow. I thought Monahan had an underrated series there. He had 5 points. I want to see Lindholm shoot more. He has a hell of a shot, and sometimes he just seems to be hesitant, and he doesn't seem like he has that confidence. So him shooting the puck more, it would actually give him more confidence in my mind. Going down the lineup, I'm with Heidi. I think Jankowski needs to get out of the lineup. You need to have Austin Czarnik in there or Alan Quine. Ronaldo, I at the beginning of the year, the reason why he got a contract on his PTO was because he showed energy. He was banging, he was crashing, he was making a difference just in his speed. He was very, very fast, and he had no jump in this game or in this first series. So I would like to see Quine or Czarnik in there over Jankowski. This might be a bit of a hot take going to the defense. I would love to see more out of Giordano. I felt like he was solid, but I feel like he can give a lot more than he actually has. And maybe it's just a little bit of time to get the motor running because he is an older player. So hopefully he can step it up a little bit more too. Otherwise, everybody else is pretty much on par with where I feel like they should be. Kudos to that third line. If they keep on rolling the way they are, I feel like they're going to do well, and hopefully Dubé can use that last game as a springboard for him going into the next round, because I was not impressed with them until that last game.
I'm gonna go a little bit hot take on this one, and then I want to see more from Matthew Tkachuk. If they're gonna win this series, they need Matthew Tkachuk to produce.
Actually, I'll totally agree with that.
He had 2 points.
He was Matthew Tkachuk, but yeah, I didn't see him putting up the goals and the assists that he normally does. Yeah,
Tkachuk had 2 points in that series, and you need more from him. I'll echo the Johnny Gaudreau. He didn't have enough impact 5-on-5. Elias Lindholm didn't have enough impact 5-on-5. Monahan was the only one on that line that was going that series, in my opinion. I think, but the big one is Matthew Tkachuk. You need him producing. You can't have him getting 1 goal in 4 games. That's not good enough to beat the Dallas Stars.
Now I agree. He does need to produce more, but do you think the emotional support that he has shown and the growth and the leadership that you've seen throughout this first qualifying round, I feel like that is enough for him as of right now. But yes, he does need to score.
Well, I'll put him going back to when we talked last time when I said who do I want to see more from, and from the Canucks, and it's Elias Pettersson, and it's the same thing. He didn't play bad, and I'm not saying Tkachuk played bad at all. I felt he played quite well, but they were quiet in terms of on the score sheet in terms of what we expect from them. And it's the same thing with Tkachuk. If the Flames are going farther and they want to get past Dallas, they need production from Matthew Tkachuk.
I agree with Sean, and I want to see more from Tkachuk, as I think he needs to raise his level. The other thing with Tkachuk as well is we've anointed him as the next captain. He needs to show it in this series, and he needs to show it with his production. There's a bunch of pests on the Stars here. Corey Perry's a pest. Esa Lindell's a pest. I think Joe Pavelski can be a bit of a pest. There's a lot of little grit there. This is a series where Matthew Tkachuk needs to be the guy. It's not going to be this is not going to be a series that he's going to have the easy opportunity to be rent free in everybody's head. So he needs to be more. And I also agree with Devin. I think we need to see more from Giordano, and I think we need to see more from Noah Hannafin. I know that we are not sold necessarily on Noah Hannafin, but looking at this defensive matchup, if the Flames are going to get anywhere, that Anderson-Hannafin pairing needs to be
it needs to be better.
Step up.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I want to notice Hannafin more, but for the good things, not the bad things, because I feel like when we do notice Hannafin, it's because of the bad things. It's the bad pinching, with pinching in on the half boards on the offensive zone. He's not committing to the puck or taking the body for taking the guy out of the play. He's right in the middle. He's 50-50. Once again, it comes down to confidence with him, and if he doesn't have that confidence and he's second guessing himself halfway through his decision, then it's gonna cost the Flames.
Yeah, I want to feel like we're not like that upset that we're missing Travis Hamonic that much, because at first we're all like, oh, we'll be okay without Hamonic, all this stuff, and now I don't want to feel like that we're missing him, that maybe we could have played better with him. So yeah, I definitely need to see more from Hannafin for sure. And as you said, yeah, only like for good things, not just for when he makes mistakes.
And I also want to see, I want to try, wonder if they're going to do this. I want to see if this series they do Backlund, Tkachuk, and Lindholm, and Monahan, Gaudreau, and Mangiapane. I want to see if they switch that up. I know that they love that Backlund, Tkachuk, Mangiapane line, but I wonder in this series with matchups how you match up, that there may be a way to switch that around a little bit.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You expect the exact same lines going out first game or even just first period. And if Jeff Ford doesn't like what he sees, hopefully he has the wherewithal to switch it up, because if he doesn't, and it's Mike Babcock-ish of last year, then it's going to be trouble. But I would love to see some sort of, Kev, I'm with you, some sort of different look there on the first two lines, because I feel like even having Lindholm at center would be a massive potential game-changing decision or series-changing decision right there.
Yeah. Anyone in Dallas that we need to be worried about?
That top line, Rupe Hintz centering, and he underrated player. He does everything right. He doesn't necessarily score a lot in terms of for a quote unquote number one center, but he does everything right in my opinion.
Yeah, he had his coming out party last year in the playoffs, and I think he was injured a little bit here in this first part of the season before COVID hit. And yeah, Sean's right. He's a very underrated player. Hopefully they can get Sagan back, because Sagan, when he's on, watch out. And I always call him Joey Playoffs, because Joe Pavelski comes to play in the playoffs. So that's another player you got to watch out for.
Yeah,
both like the two defensemen I mentioned earlier, Don Klingberg and Miro Heiskanen. Those two are game changers. They can turn the game on its head and basically do what Quinn Hughes did for the Canucks versus the Wild.
And Heiskanen has 1 year of more of understanding the playoffs. And then anything more on this series that we need to unpack?
If Bishop can't go, Khudobin, yeah, like I've said before, he can take over Series 2. He's a solid backup or 1B goaltender. He showed that in Boston before he came down to Dallas. And actually, I believe he's up as a UFA this year as well. So that's another wrinkle with all the good goalies that are out there.